They want us to not be in the same place all the time. That's why auxiliaries are being expanded. That's why we're asking for people to cross-contaminate, whether if it's the sound or whether if it's the, anything. Look, keyboard. Anybody else know how to play keyboard? This man didn't know how to play, but he came here.
Yeah.
They laid hands on him. By the time you know it, now look at it. The young man over there, he didn't know nothing about the drums. He was just learn, watch it, Leonard, watch it. This is what we do.
Amen.
We're not in our place or our positions because, Kathy's such a, wonderful person. I'm not saying that you're not. You know what I'm saying? God gives gifts unto men. Our leaders see as we begin to move forward, they see God moving in us in those areas, and they say, oh, look at God. Look at God. And that's all they're looking for. They're looking for God to move and looking for God to see. Where did I leave off? Okay. There are times we feel like outcasts. Like no one wants us or no one values us. Again, sounds like us before. Not now. Because we're not in that same place anymore because we're going to choose life like those lepers did, and we're not going to stay in the same place. We're going to move forward. We're going to trust the word of the Lord that's being spoken, and we're going to trust that the things that have been spoken over our lives, the prophetic words, and everything that God has talked about us, we're not going to stay in the same place anymore. It says our opinions or words are not valued, and we have no voice. And that's how sometimes we feel. We feel that we have, that we just don't have nothing to offer. But I beg to differ. There's a lot that we have to offer.
Amen.
There's a lot that is locked up on the inside of us. Can we see that? We need to see that. Especially if we're being fitly joined together. Because we need to know each one of us is a puzzle piece. And even though Rehoboth International Ministry is a puzzle, you fit in that puzzle somewhere. You're a piece in that puzzle somewhere. I don't know if you're in the middle. Don't know if you're in the corner down here. Don't know if you're on the right. Don't know if you're near the left. But we need to know. And the only way that we're going to know is that you don't allow no distractions to come. No words. And don't say, no, I ain't got nothing to offer. Yeah, you do have a lot to offer. Amen. Especially if we've been here probably a year or more.
All right.
We've had a lot to offer. Because there's been a lot that we have been taught. And not just that, but look. Let's just sometimes fake it till we make it. I mean, just take a chance. The lepers took a chance, so why not us? It says we need to say one to another and our own selves, why should we sit here until we die? We need to have the courage, like the lepers, and do something different so God can magnify our steps and our voice. To sound mighty like the lepers, because we all know, like in the story, if you go back and you read the story, you'll understand that their voice all of a sudden carried a mighty loud sound. And that's how they were able to overcome. This is how God used the lepers, because He magnified their steps to sound like a mighty army with horses and chariots, and the Arameans was terrified, so it caused them to leave all their supplies. See how powerful we can become? Or see how powerful we can be to the enemy? If we just can allow God to use us and change the direction of our lives, and we begin to see things differently and hear things differently, we can begin to laugh at the enemy and say, you thought you had me, but you didn't.
Amen.
You know? You thought you had my kids. You thought you had this. You thought you had... nuh-uh. Because of the direction, the different course of direction that we have taken, and now because our voice is more powerful than it was before. Now, before we were a little cub. Now we just, getting to be, we somewhat roaring like a lion. We get there. What was that? The name of that movie with the Scarecrow and the Lion King, The Wizard of Oz, and how they told the lion, they said, "Let me hear your roar." He said, "Roar." Like, what? Yeah, we need to go find your roar. Come on, you coming with me. And that's what it is. See, we find our identity. We find our true identity when we know what's locked up on the inside of us. And sometimes we don't know ourselves. That's why we can't isolate ourselves. Because, see, when we isolate ourselves, we never allow God to really speak. And if we do hear Him speak, we always want to come to our conclusion to say, oh, this is what God meant. No, God didn't mean that. So that's why we need our voices to be heard. That's why we need to be courageous in this hour, to be able to trust God in everything that we know. God can still make our sound a voice to be heard. All we have to do is open up our mouths and allow God to fill them. Didn't He say that He would fill our mouths? He said that He would fill them, so that's all we need to do. It says we must act, we must move, even when the stakes are high. It says we must put in action to the gospel that we have heard, else we will remain a spiritual leper and die as one. So we can't stay in the same place. It's okay to try something different. Your taste might not like it. Your ears might not like it.
All right.
Your eyes might not like what they see. But let me tell you, I've been wrong before.
Amen.
I've been wrong before. And I've been led the wrong way before, thinking on my own, trying to say that, oh yeah, I don't need nobody to tell me which way to go. So we need to be able to trust God in that. So I know that sometimes we feel like we can't move forward, but let me encourage you and let me tell you, yeah, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. So that's why I'm saying that we need to trust God like the leopards did, and we need to be able to say, look, I ain't dying in this place. I can't. I got too much to lose. We must move, for the day of glad tidings is as close as it can get. So why sit here and die? One thing I found out is that sin will corrupt us spiritually. The same way leprosy corrupts physically, or not just leprosy, but any kind of disease. It will try and come and it will corrupt the body. Well, also too, sin will come and corrupt the body spiritually as well. It'll lock you down and won't allow you to move. The meaning of life is being restored to us as a people of God. And if the leper was purified, so are we also purified as followers of Jesus. Understand that. It's important.
Amen.
It says, I begin to think how the first choice the lepers had was to enter the city. But as we see, the city had nothing but starvation and famine to offer them. Same thing as religion. That's all they offered us. They didn't offer us anything. All they did was just quenched our thirst and then our hunger. We were never satisfied because we were always thirsty and we were always hungry. And that's what religion did. It said the city was a place of death, and there was nothing, not one glimmer of hope for them if they entered into the city. They understood this. And this is important for us. We have to understand that there's nothing in the place where we're at anymore. We didn't burn everything out. There's nothing there anymore. As a matter of fact, we've paid so much back and forth that there's no more grass there anymore. There's nothing but dirt. But we would rather keep walking up and down instead of us going to green pastures and saying, no, I'm going to change my direction and try to go a different way. That's what we need to do. Let us say that the city could be the world today. If that's the case, the world has nothing of any lasting value that it could offer us what we need. All it can offer is knowledge of the world that will not last. It offers religious shrines that will not last, and everything the world has to offer is temporal. So, never lasts, doesn't last. The world cannot provide life for us. All it can do is feed us, which does not give us life. It just prolongs our death.
Amen.
So we're just being hooked up to an IV, and we see the IV just trickling down little bit by little bit. And then all of a sudden it runs out, and by the time we know it,